Have you ever wondered what if Lord of the Rings was less about friendship and more about collecting wives and power? That's basically Tales of Wedding Rings, an isekai where true love, fan service, and absurd logic simply coexist. Like, what do you mean he collects wives like elemental Pokemon types? It's odd, kinda wholesome, and somehow I actually liked it despite my takes on certain isekais. In fact, I binged it all last night and some of second season. So let's dive into why the guy who rants about isekai a lot likes it. So our main character, Sato, is just your standard anime dude, lives in Japan, average grades, surprisingly no traumatic backstory, he is just a guy. But of course, he is secretly in love with his childhood friend, Hime. And one day she's simply just like, hey, by the way, I'm actually a princess from another world, so I'm living forever, so bye, lamau. And instead of crying in his gaming chair, Sato says, you know what? Nah, I'd win, and jumps through the portal with her without a second thought. Which is already starting different than most isekai. He didn't get him isekai the usual way, also. And suddenly he's in a fantasy world. Accidentally proposes and becomes the Ring King, a name you will hear so much in this goddamn show. The chosen hero who is destined to marry 5 princesses to save the world. Trust me, you'll just stick with me. It's the kind of plot you'd expect to find one of those suspicious light novels somewhere tucked in the middle of like a magazine somewhere. But you know, it somehow works. And sadly I have watched a lot of isekai in my time, so that's tragic. Now, the world itself is your usual fantasy setup. Demons, kingdoms, magic, you know, prophecy. Basically the isekai Amazon basics, I'll say. But the concept through power of marriage is kind of cool. It gives a convenient excuse to have a harem. Instead of gathering power-ups, Sato's strength comes from having relationships with women. And not in a weird way, I promise. I mean, sometimes in a weird way. But, you know, we'll get to that later. So each princess gives him a magic ring that boosts his abilities. They're basically just elemental types. It's like Pokemon, but your Pokeballs are just, you know, marital promises, I guess. And the more rings you get, the stronger he becomes. You may ask, this sounds really dumb. Yes it is. But is it enjoyable? 100%. It hits that balance of goofy but not overly to an annoying degree. It does have some actual wholesome moments and serious, though I'm using serious very loosely here. So let's talk about why you clicked on this video. The reason I watched it to begin with, and the reason you may watch it to begin with, the cast. The actually pretty interesting cast from a visual perspective at least. Our first and main girl, Hime, or Crystal as he calls her, the princess of the Ring of Light, the childhood friend, now fantasy princess. She's the sweet, emotional sort of type, but what I love about this is, even though Sato is a harem now, his feelings never really waver that much, even as his harem builds. He's still a loyal man, you know, he's a good man, Savannah. He's collecting rings for world peace and not for adultery. Sometimes that is. Next is Granart, best girl. Tall, confident, and could probably bench press Sato and probably everyone else in the cast. Yeah, I get she's like the warrior woman archetype, but with actual personality and an interesting design. She's not just, oh, big, goofy, buff woman. She's, you know, actually quite interesting. And said, my best girl, so I'm a little biased. Next we have the Water Princess. She's the elegant elf type. She's the sort of on the fence, not really on the fence, but the more or less aggressive one. It's again one of like a common trope, but I'm not a massive fan of Neff, but I don't hate her either. She's kind of like Asia from DxD, but unlike Asia, she's like actually likable and usable. Anyways, Saphir, the Wind Princess. The obligatory lollybeat character, and I will say, thank God the MC does not treat her like a romantic option. He literally straight up denies her, and for that, I have a lot of respect to this anime. She's also probably the one I like the least because of the whole lollybeat thing, but And the next is the walking nerd emoji, Amber. Amber is like the programmed love interest who, no matter what you do, the love stat is maxed. She starts at 100 and stays at 100. I do like how she has no interest in him aside from the whole born duty to help him thing now. And achieve him, help him sling the Abyss King, aka, you know, Isekai Demon King. She will just kind of fuck with him occasionally though. And I will say, she does have cake. which I cannot show on YouTube. It's like a full JRPG party with different races, personalities, even if they're sort of pre-established, you know, tropes in Ichi and harem, they're still peak. Hime and Granat are easily my favorite though. They're both pretty different. And now you may ask, what is the actual MC like? As a bad MC can just completely tank a show and make it a miserable watch. Now, Sato himself is fine. He's not annoying, not spineless, but not particularly unique. He's like every isekai protagonist ever in like a template. Black hair, plain uniform, just lack of overall interesting design. But I've said it before, every modern isekai MC looks like they were copy and pasted. But I mean, there's a reason. I've spoken about it before. Like, it's relatable. Many people can relate to that kind of design. First of all, because it's so basic, and like a lot of people look like that. But yeah, Sato doesn't really stand out a huge amount from the crowd. I will say though, personality-wise, he's a lot less oblivious. If someone is hitting on him, he'll be like, you know what? Maybe would. He actually picks up on social cues and takes action in situations, and that's rare for Isekai. But I'll give him props for being emotionally consistent, I guess. He's not just there to collect as many wives as he can, he actually cares about, you know, him and Hime. And in a genre that often forget what the concept of love even looks like, that's quite refreshing. Now, the fault or save of all Isekai, what is the world building like? Now, the world of Tales of Wedding Rings looks like pretty great, but it's a very generic. Standard kingdoms, classic demons, magic stones, the usual prophecy shit, yada yada. Yeah, I mean, you can tell the animators were doing the best with what they had from the source material. Like, you've seen this setting before a million times. But I will say the castle looks pretty unique instead of just the usual river flowing through the boring ass walled off kingdom. This one looks visually more appealing. An actual sort of medieval fantasy castle vibe. What saves it though is, you know, the magic fucking marriage mechanic. The reason, you know, it exists. It's the one thing that makes the anime stand out the most. And now I am sure there's an anime that has done this before, but I have not fucking seen it, so this is unique to me, baby. The rings just add enough lore and visual flair to make the fights semi-interesting, which I'm not gonna lie, I skipped over so many of the fights except Granard's. But like, let's be real, no one is watching this anime for the fights. You're watching it for one reason, and you know what that reason is. Yes. It's time to talk about the elephant in the room of every Ichi anime. Or I guess in this case, like, one could say the cup size. That's a dumb joke. Yeah, there's obviously the show has fan service. It's Isekai Ichi trash. But unlike some Ichi trash, it's quite fun. It's like self-aware, not too sleazy. You can tell the author just had fun. They lean into it in like an entertaining factor without ruining the tone a whole bunch. It's not just a consistent barrage. It happens when the author just thought it would be funny, or adds intimacy in some parts wholly. As a big thing in this anime is that it's rumored that the closer to the Ring King is to his wives, the stronger they are. But even in the anime, this is pure rumor, and they lean into that in a very comedic way quite a bit. So you know what? It's not too bad. It's the difference between cringe and like this is kind of fire. So you know, fan service kind of very well handled and at peak. Now of course, like every isekai, it's not perfect. The pacing jumps around quite a bit. Some work to end before they just even start, and a few emotional bits could have hit harder if they build up. I'll try not to spoil too much, but for example, you can be in this really intimate moment, skip 10 seconds by accident, and it looks like you're in a whole new episode because the demon just spawned in. You know, they're in a different scenario. It's just all over the place sometimes. But, you know, it's entertaining, I guess. And the world building is also not great, which I just spoke on, so. Though they try to be kind of unique. A dragon kin are called lizard people. They kind of control body temp very well, lead system stuff. Granard's people are based on strength. Outside of a few very small crumbs, though, you don't learn about how the world building works very much at all. But I mean, it tries. It certainly tries. I'll give it a little gold star for that. Right, just to wrap it up because I want this to be a quick video. Because I want to get my thoughts on it since I just watched it yesterday. It's quite an interesting isekai that's a bit different. Yeah, there's a harem, but he still, you know, likes one girl, and he likes her from the start. And I will say, it is the first harem MC I have seen that shuts down the lolly beat character right away, which is wild. I never thought I would see the day, so I get some brownie points. It's dumb in all the right ways, and surprisingly sweet when it wants to be. Decent designs, kind of mid-fights, not gonna lie. Great romance, and just enough self-awareness to make you forgive the cliches, and of course, peak fan service. I actually do really like the dub in this too. It seems they didn't just go for the most popular 5 dub voice actors that were available, and got some smaller voice actors with some of the characters. Especially some of the characters of color sound really good, which was 100% probably for budget reasons, and they went for smaller voice actors instead. But hey, it's still cool to see other voice actors than the same 5 we keep getting. So, if you like things like High School DxD or Mushoku Tensei, this is probably worth your time. You'll probably enjoy it, I think. But yeah, Tales of Wedding Rings, pretty good. Took me by surprise. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to go try and find the Wedding Ring of Ruin. I think some Crimson Herd woman had it. So yeah. Like and subscribe or your waifu's made.